Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Spring Cup. The Spring Cup is going to be available for 1 week. I think a little bit later in the season we get this cup again. But yeah, this is going to be a cup where only water, grass, as well as fairy types are going to be allowed, while Jumpluff, Roserade, as well as Toxapex are going to be banned. And so this is going to be a very interesting cup. Today we're going to have some top teams here for you. And of course, if you enjoy this type of videos, feel free to subscribe to this channel, as we are trying to get to the 100,000 subscribers eventually. But of course, yeah, if you enjoy these videos, if they help you, would really appreciate it. But let's move on straight to team number 1. We're going to take a look at Ferrothorn, the Seeking, which is apparently getting more and more popular in especially limited metas, which you've seen even in the recent EYC meta. And then we're going to have the Lapras here in the back. You can use Dugong, you can use quite a few of different Pokemon here, but Ferrothorn is going to be one of the core Pokemon of this meta. It's actually the number 1 Pokemon of this meta, funnily enough. But yeah, Ferrothorn itself is going to be very, very strong. It's very well paired together with that Seeking. Seeking is going to be very nice neutral. Seeking itself is not even ranked that insanely high, but it's a very good Pokemon that you're going to see even in different teams, most likely as well still. As you're going to have Drill Peck, Icy Wind, as well as Drill Run. It has a Peck in Drill Run, sorry, as well as Icy Wind. It's going to have some great coverage basically for the current meta. You're going to have with Icy Wind coverage against the Grass type Pokemon. With Drill Run, you're going to have coverage against the Poison type Pokemon like Galarian Weezing, the Tentacruel, but also against the Steel type Pokemon like Klefki as well as Empoleon. So Drill Run makes a lot of sense here, and then Lapras in the back is just mainly there as a closer. Seeking itself kind of functions as a water type that isn't a water type in the case here that it's water typing, but it isn't really a water type because it doesn't pack any water type damage, but it packs a lot of damage against Pokemon that are good against water types. With Peck and Icy Wind, you're going to be able to beat most of the grass type Pokemon anyway, especially in the 2 shields against a Shadow Victory Bell. I think you're going to do a lot of fast move pressure. So just generally, I think it's a good team. Doesn't really have a difficult matchup, and so definitely something worth trying, I would say. Next up is going to be more an interesting thing here, which I kind of want to point out. We have Empoleon, Victory Bell, as well as a Venusaur, so double grass and poison in the back. The main thing that I kind of want to point out here is that Victory Bell apparently doesn't really have a lot of answers. I would, by the way, go for the Shadow Victory Bell. I kind of messed it up a little bit here. Normal Victory Bell is only ranked number 15. Shadow Victory Bell is number 2 of this meta. And Shadow Victory Bell doesn't really have a great answer as a Say-Swap. There's not really a singular Pokemon that really wants to take the damage of this Pokemon. I guess Klefki would be kind of the most difficult one, but then you still hit them hard with a Leaf Blade. Yeah, again, Shadow's a little bit better than the non-Shadow, but basically, if you take a look at the Pokemon here, yes, some of them are going to be resisting the damage that we have here, especially, of course, the Steel-type Pokemon. But they are mainly very squishy Pokemon, even like Pokemon like hard fairy type Pokemon. There are some as well, for example, which is going to be then helping out with the acid damage. But Leaf Blade itself, even when it's resisted from a Shadow Victory Bell, does do a lot of damage against a lot of the Pokemon. And then if you take a look at the flying type Pokemon in order to deal with this Pokemon, you're going to have something like a Manta, and you're going to have something like a Pelipper in this meta, which you're both going to have teams for, that are going to be neutral against your charge move set. And so you're still going to do a lot of damage there. You're going to outspeed them. You're going to have a lot of pressure. Victory Bell looks like a weapon in this meta for sure, and definitely something you have to be a bit mindful of. And so we're going to have another Seeking team here, as Seeking is going to be a very interesting Pokemon that enables other Water-type Pokemon to function. Now here we're going to have a team with a Weezing as a lead. Weezing is going to be very much a potent Pokemon of this meta, like this Pokemon is going to be everywhere, thanks to the insane moveset that this Pokemon has, as well as the typing that it has. We have to run Overheat here in this move. Okay, sorry. We have to run Overheat here in this meta, because we're going to have a lot of Steel-type Pokemon around, and you can one-shot them. Klefki, one-shot. Morwell, one-shot. Mostly Tinkaton is a one-shot as well from the Shadow version of the Galarian Weezing. You have a lot of potential to knock out some opponents that you would usually not be able to knock out. And it's going to be the immediate burst damage that's very nice for this Pokemon as well, which then allows you to swap out into your Seeking, which is a fantastic Say-Swap, especially in a meta like this. And then you have your closer with Jelson in the back, which is amazing generally, like it's one of the strongest Pokemon in the game currently. And so yeah, this makes up a very interesting, very strong team. The only real weakness here is going to be other Jellicents, because Weezing's moveset is completely walled, and then we have a Seeking which just has like neutral damage with Peck and Drill Run, so then Jellicent itself in the back, of course, going to be usually an energy disadvantage, which makes it a little bit more tough. If you have an alternative option there, you can run it as well, but this is very likely a very solid team that I would definitely recommend you to run. Next up, we're going to have Mantine. Mantine deserves a little bit of a spotlight here. Mantine got buffed this season with a Wing Attack back in the game. Area is still going to be very bad. I could have made a joke there, but I don't. But yeah, this moveset is generally kind of hindered by the aerial ace. Back in the day, it was 40 energy. Now it is 45 energy as far as I know, which makes the pacing with the wing attack quite bad. And so it's not great, but it's still kind of nice to have in order to deal with the flying type Pokemon. We have the grass type Pokemon. We still have Ice Beam for the grass type Pokemon as well. But we're going to have Klefki as a Say-Stop, which is, in my opinion, kind of the best Say-Stop in this meta, because Klefki is going to be super neutral. There's not really an answer towards this Pokemon, unless you have like Fire Fang Mawile, which is not really that great in this meta because there are a lot of water type Pokemon. There's a different Mawile set that's a little bit better. We're going to talk about it later. But here we're going to have the Empoleon in the back. Empoleon or the Ferrothorn both make sense. Ferrothorn actually makes a little bit more sense just in case you're going to encounter an electric type Pokemon where there are only like, I think a Lantern is allowed, which I don't have a team with, and the Electrode, Hisuian Electrode is allowed, which I do have a team with, I think. But yeah, those are going to be kind of the only electric type Pokemon for this meta. In case you face one, you rather would have a Ferrothorn in the back. Next up, we're going to have here, yeah, Victreebel again. Victreebel in the lead, I think is fantastic as well. Again, you can play, this is an ABC style line, kind of, again, a bit ABB as well, depending on if you encounter grass type Pokemon, but generally, Core of Togekiss Empoleon works out really well. Core of Empoleon Victreebel, as we saw already earlier, works really well, and then Core of Victreebel Togekiss works out very well as well. I would recommend you to, again, go for the Shadow bonus on the Victreebel, but you can play out leads and just play out the Victreebel matchup, and then have your Togekiss Empoleon in the back to hard counter the opponent. That's kind of how this team would function, in my opinion. I would not generally say sub Togekiss a lot of times in this meta. I would rather just stay in with a Victreebel and try to play out the matchups. Especially with the Shadow one again, you're going to have so much charging pressure with it, with Acid plus Leaf Blade. It's going to be ridiculous, definitely worth trying. And we can move on to team number 6. We're going to have, yeah, here Mawile basically in the back. Tinkaton is an alternative option. I like actually Mawile a little bit more, but here we're going to have Tinkaton for now. But Jellicent, Klefki, and then any of the Fairy and yeah, Steel type Pokemon are going to be good. But here, for example, what the Mawile has is going to be Astonish as well, plus a Vice Grip, which is going to be a very interesting moveset there. It would be definitely something I would recommend you to give a try, at least in this meta. It's definitely a solid play. And yeah, again, I think Mawile is going to be a very good Pokemon here. Tinkaton definitely works out the same way though. Like it's going to be the same way. Apparently Moon is going to be one of the harder matchups, which I doubt because the charge moveset is walled by the backline. So it's not going to be that difficult. Next up, team at number 7, we're going to have the Walrein, the Gorgas, as well as the Victreebel. Gorgas is a very interesting Pokemon that we're going to have afterwards as well, but here also we have the Hisuian Electrode. That was the team that we have with this Pokemon. Just kind of wanted to highlight the option of going for Walrein with a Ghost and Grass type. You can have Trevenant in the back as well if you want to go for the OG core of a Trevenant Walrein. This has been very good in the past. I do think it would actually still work out in this meta as well. So if you want to, give it a try. I think it would be interesting. But it's going to be team number 7, a bit weak to the Arachnoid. But you would mostly be able to still deal with it. Honestly, like Arachnoid cannot take down the entire team here either. Bit more toxic. Let's take a look here at the Carbink. This is going to be a bit more of the toxic teams here. You're going to have Carbink lead. We have the Gorgas Say-Stop, and we're going to have the Arachnoid in the back. Double answer to ground type Pokemon, of course, with the backline. It's a bit weak to Empoleon, I would have to say here. There are going to be options here like the Ferrothorn, which is going to help you out a little bit with that if you are a bit too worried about it. Same goes kind of with the Tentacruel. You're going to have the Ferrothorn, which generally has a very solid matchup against those Pokemon. So you have that as an alternative option, but I still kind of want to highlight here the Arachnoid as a very interesting anti-meta pick, which is going to be able to beat something like a Walrein quite easily, and so has some potential here for sure. But yeah, this is going to be for team number 8 with Carbink. I think I have another Carbink team coming up though. Exactly. Yeah, I do think that Carbink is going to be the stronger Pokemon for the Pelipper core, but Abomasnow is going to be more fun, and so I will just showcase this one for now. Yeah, we're going to have here the Pelipper, Klefki, and the Abomasnow then. Abomasnow is going to be weak to Empoleon. He's still generally weak to Empoleon, but actually if you're going to encounter Empoleon with any of the 2 Pokemon that you have, otherwise you can just play out the matchup and it's not going to be that bad. With Wing Attack Pelipper, you're going to outspeed them, you're going to be able to spam the Weather Ball against them, you're still going to get them low. With the Klefki, you're going to have just very generally neutral damage with Astonish Foul Play, so like you're not going to be in such a bad position either. And so it's generally definitely something that you can manage. Like Empoleon is a Pokemon you can manage with this team. It's generally though the most difficult Pokemon to deal with. That's definitely has to be the case here. I would not really recommend you to go for the Cradily personally, just because of Empoleon. That's just would make it a bit more too difficult to deal with Empoleon, but it would be an alternative option if Empoleon somehow is not that common in the meta. And now for the final one, Ferrothorn just makes a little bit more sense here than the Tentacruel. Again, just mainly because of the resistances that you have. Tentacruel itself, I think, would most likely work even better than as well, though. But here's the thing. If you put in Tentacruel, you're just gonna die to any Electric-type Pokemon. But I just want to have a double Kiss team here, or a double Togetic team here with Togekiss and Togetic. Those are very interesting, especially as Togetic has no access to Heat Wave, which is a funny coverage move in a meta where Ferrothorn is the thing. So that's why I kind of want to try that one out. This would be most likely one of the first videos I'm gonna do, is trying to hunt down those Ferrothorns with Togetic with the Heat Wave. But yeah, that's gonna be an interesting team. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like on the video, and I will see you in the next one.